Hi everyone. This month is May and it's Mental Health Awareness Month. Today I want to talk to you about the challenges of struggling with depression, including mental health challenges, due to my challenges with my disability, which is autism, including a learning disability along with cognitive disability. Um, First of all, I want to introduce you to who I am. My name is Matt Winnick. I live in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Um, I was born with autism, including learning disability, along with cognitive disability. And before I entered into kindergarten, I did a lot of teaching time or LOVAS, um, speech behavior thing with a speech therapist named Pam. She and I worked on understanding sentences together, learn how to speak words. She also taught me critical thinking skills. Besides teaching that, she also taught me about the importance of being kind, compassionate, understanding, and gave me good advice about learning from my mistakes to do good things. And she even helped me with reading books. She even took me to museums, took me to the pool. If I did well with the sessions, and as I transitioned from kindergarten through nowadays, I always had a lot of challenges with depression. Um, a lot of it was because I dealt with being bullied for a very long time by some of my friends, people who I know, highly educated people, including nowadays people who I work with on the job. And many others. I've dealt a long time where I was teased about being disabled when I was attending like schools, including community college, along with working in a food service industry job. I've dealt with people using anti-disability stigma where they blame people with disabilities for problems that they didn't cause, and like to stereotype people with disabilities as bad people. I've dealt with I was being spit at, dealing with verbal harassment, or sometimes people using vulgar language on me. And I have dealt a lot of hard times where um, I was even cyberbullied on social media platforms where people would make fun of me for being disabled. People would make ugly comments saying like I don't look good, I look ugly, or sometimes people would use manipulate a picture of me into something that wasn't appropriate and would spread as bad rumors and that. Um, I've always had challenges of having friendships, keeping them, maintaining them, and making new friends, and that. And the reason why I've been struggling a lot is because I deal with being bullied again by people, including some of my friends. I've dealt a lot of hard times where some of my friends would tell me that me with being disabled makes them look bad. And they tell me it's my fault that they're not happy about things. And they blame me for problems that I didn't cause. They make a lot of anti-disability stigma remarks where they complain that people with disabilities like me are lazy, are stupid, are selfish, and sometimes it's very hard because I know myself as being disabled that I have challenges on trying to communicate my thoughts efficiently in social settings. Sometimes it's hard for me to understand conversations. Sometimes I can't do everything like other people can. Like, for example, I might not be perfect at um, doing a perfect workout like other people can. Or, for example, if I can't do well in different settings, like being in crowded places or parties or gatherings or social groups, or if I can't make the my friends happy because if they want me to buy them gifts, for example, or if they want me to be emotional support for them, where I try my best as I can to be a good listener to them, where I try to say kind words, try and say I'm saying good thoughts and positive vibes to you, and doing that. But I still deal with that struggle, and it's hard. I mean, there's days that I can't really do that well with friendships a lot. And it's harder to really try to be open, honest with people or friends. And I will try telling them, like, hey, to be honest, I know I have challenges with my disability, but I do care about you. I respect you. I think of good thoughts and positive vibes visit you. I try my best to understand what you're saying. Um, I and that in general, but it's hard to be on to express my good intentions and being good, honest in a way because I still get bullied even further. I get put down, I get teased, and um, it's really hard. And so, um, also being disabled in a food service industry job has been a challenge for me. I've had a lot of experiences where it's hard for me to work in a fast-paced environment. And sometimes, and I mean, not sometimes, but all the time, I struggle with multitasking in a fast-paced environment where it gets challenging because I fall behind. Sometimes there's situations that can't be, that it's not that gets out of hand, even though it's not my fault. Like let's say, for example, a dish machine breaks, everybody gets mad at me. Or for example, if we don't have enough supplies like forks, silverwares, or plates and bowls, and we don't have enough for them ready, I get yelled at or bullied further. I have dealt where some coworkers, including some other people who are in the upper level on the food service job, would use swear words, say anti-disability remark, call me retard, slowpoke. Sometimes I deal where some of them spit talk in my face, and it's really hard because as myself, as a food service worker with a disability, I try my best to pay attention to details as possible. Like, if I see a dirty dish, I try to say, hey, in my mind, like let's just try to work on getting the dish clean. Or for example, I try to pay attention to other details, like making sure that we don't we have enough silverware ready to go. And I try to develop the silver station as possible. I try my best as I can to be respectful to other coworkers, try to be kind, understanding, respectful, and try to have the teamwork attitude where I want to work as a team to get things done. Even though most of the time, a lot of coworkers bully me, they don't want to be respectful, but I try my best to be a respectful person. Um, and I like to work on critical thinking skills in the workplace, trying to make sure that I can figure out how I can navigate multitasking better, or like analyze how other coworkers work so I can understand how they work to give myself a sense of idea about how to do the work. And so and that. So I deal with being depressed, being in, when I deal with getting bullied in the job, because I do work hard as I can, and and not only that, but I also been dealing with feeling depressed when a lot of people, including the news media, social media influencers, members of our judicial system, politicians from both parties, make a lot of anti-disability remarks where they blame people with disabilities for problems. Wanted to push people with disabilities off from healthcare services, don't want to give people with disabilities accommodations, and it's very, very depressing to hear this a lot. And so um, I get easily depressed a lot, and so about this. So um, what I try to do a lot of my time is, as a food service worker with a disability, is I try to save money much as I can. I try to have a good budget, make sure how much money I spent, and save money for things I want to do, like travel or treat myself out or other hobbies. And I try to keep myself quiet at work. I try to take my normal 30 lunch break, take the time to eat eat small meals, take the time to close my eyes or pray, just trying to pray to myself, hoping that I can survive and navigating the workplace. And so it's been really hard. I deal with a lot of being bullied and harassment and being put down, people use vulgar language, but it's kind of hard because it's kind of like a continuous thing. It never stops. And sometimes I have to tell myself, all I have to do is try to keep my head down, try to do the best I can, and just try to not show my emotions at work. But when I go home, I can cry easily. I can take the time to sit down to myself and think of thoughts. And so another thing that I mostly deal with depression is when I deal with a lot of identity politics or like gender politics where um, people make fun of me for being a man with a disability. Like, for example, I've dealt a long time where women, including girls, will like to bully me about being disabled, how I'm socially awkward, how I'm ugly, and saying a lot of anti-disability stigma. I've dealt sometimes where some girls, including some women, would spit at me and make vulgar language about me in a negative way, and it's really hurtful. I've also had experiences where some women, including some girls, would try to say, "Hey, I want your number or your social media. I want to hang out with you," but I deal with getting ghosted. Sometimes um, they would bring some of their own friends with them, where they bully me, they tease me further, and I felt really sad about it, and so. Um, Even though I'm trying to have I tried my good intentions for women and girls is to try to be respectful of them, try to be understanding, compassionate, but also I'm a strong supporter of women's rights. I believe women should have the right to choose, and they shouldn't be discriminated based on their gender or should not face any forms of harassment. But even if I try to express good intentions to women and girls, I deal with the same thing of being bullied even further, being put down, and it's very challenging. And so, um, and what's also been hard a lot too is with this identity politics, since I'm a mixed race, I'm an Asian American with a disability, and it's very hard when I deal with other groups of people, including some in the Asian community, where they make fun of me for being disabled. They tell me that I'm not perfect for them. I deal with a lot of these other different groups would use like racial or anti-disability stigma on me, and it's very challenging. I deal with the same thing, like being spit at, being teased, people using vulgar language, and saying hateful words. It's really hard, and so. Um, And it's very challenging for me because, as someone who deals with depression too, I deal where people tell me that I have to man up, I have to um, try to be positive, and being shamed about being disabled, that people with disabilities shouldn't cry, or that men with mental health and men with disabilities are weak, are stupid, are creepy, and it's very, very hard. And so, and it's even hard when I have some friends, some adults I know, and highly educated people, or even some family members would get critical and say, "Why aren't you being positive? Why are you being depressed? Why are you a Debbie Downer? And it's hard, and because all the time, I've always been dealing with a lot of struggles with people. I always try to put my energy for people a lot, trying to be positive, trying to make sure that people are happy about things, trying my best to be kind, compassionate, understanding to other people, but people get meaner at me, bully me, spit at me, and other mean things, and it's just hard. So um, what it's like being depressed for me is sometimes it's hard for me to get enough sleep, where I deal with having nightmares about people bullying me or feeling bad about myself. Um, I usually get like 4 to 5 hours of sleep each night. I look at myself in the mirror all the time, or I ask my questions like who, what, when, where, and why, and all these continuous questions to myself like, um, what am I feeling today? How am I doing? Why are you feeling sad? Why are you feeling guilty? Or like, or like that, or asking myself all the time. And sometimes when I look at myself in the mirror, I start to cry a lot. Or sometimes I take a shower, or if I'm in a public place or in a workplace, and if I'm dealing with being bullied, sometimes I have to run to a public restroom and into a stall in a restroom stall and cry for a little bit, and sometimes wash my face for a bit, and that, and so. Um, Also, with my depression, I struggle with feeling guilt, and shame and disappointment, and sometimes I have some suicidal thoughts where when people tell me, "Oh, I wish you were dead because you're a bad person with a disability," or when people tell me that it'd be funny if you died, sometimes in a workplace or sometimes in public places, I always question myself like. Um, Am I really am a human being um, with a disability and who wants to do good things in society, but people are unappreciative of me, and it's hard. Sometimes I have mixed feelings about my own life, where I consider myself, is it really worth for me living? Is it worth for me giving up? Am I a bad person just because I'm disabled, even though I try to do good things like trying to be compassionate, understanding, work on critical thinking skills, trying to learn from my mistakes to be a better person, want to have the audacity to expand on knowledge or critical thinking skills to help me navigate situations or society or to learn things, and that. So, um, one thing that I mostly like to do on a daily basis is I like to journal my thoughts or work on some writing stuff where I talk to my computer and writes down stuff, and then I edit it. And when I do this stuff, I like to work on writing about my life struggles with a disability, the things that I've learned, the things that I'm trying to navigate in society, and things that I want to have good intentions or have good ideas that I've learned through life, or my vision for a world to be a better place, or for me to understand how to navigate society when it's broken. I do this a lot because I'm trying to help myself understand myself as a human being with a disability who wants to do good things, but also to help me get my thoughts organized. Also, I do this because it is hard for me to find a good therapist due to limited health insurance that I have, and also due to other people putting me down for having struggles with mental health, with a disability, when I deal with depression. And so I do this as a way for me to try to get my thoughts organized, trying to understand myself, but trying to work on my own self, trying to understand my visions. And so, um, also, what I like to do when I deal with depression is like to do exercising. I like to go for a walk, do a little jump roping. Sometimes go to the gym. I try to go to the gym early in the morning to avoid the crowd or avoid other people who are fitness aggressive. And I like to do volunteering, where in my own community where I do I help um, this community group in downtown in our Michigan, where we provide grocery bags with canned goods, or other essential items to the homeless, the poor, the disadvantaged, disabled, and people who are struggling with health issues or who are in debt. Um, I do this as a way for me to try to tell myself that I'm not only alone dealing with depression or struggles. There's other people that need help, um, and need help on getting access to food or essential items when they're dealing with struggles. But also, it's important for me to help others who are struggling in need, and they really need kindness, compassion, understanding, critical thinking. And also, as a Christian myself, as a not only Christian, but as an independent Christian on my own journey, I believe that it's really important to help the people who are in need, who are struggling with poor, who are disabled, or who are dealing with debt or dealing with health issues. It's important to help them, because I believe it's really important to help these people who are struggling during difficult times, not only in the past, but currently, and especially nowadays. And I try to do this as a way to help others, and try to tell myself that it's a good thing to help others who are struggling, and I try to follow what Jesus and God tells me to do. Um, Also, I like to play role-playing video games a lot, like Red Dead Redemption 2, Saints Row, Life is Strange True Colors, and and sometimes strategic games a lot, because I get to comfort myself that knowing that I can go at my own pace, learning about things. I can do different things in a role playing game. Like I can go fishing, I can rescue people, I can talk to people, I can work on critical thinking skills, even if I can't do things in real life, or if I can't do well with my disability. I feel good about playing these role playing games because it helped me with coping. It helps me learn about things, help me expand critical thinking. It has creativity and sense of humor, which makes you laugh, and that. Um, Also, what I like to do a lot is when I struggle with depression or challenge my disability, is I like to pray to God, including Jesus, where I always pray to them on a daily basis, whether it's morning, um, during my 30-minute break lunch, or sometimes 30-minute break to myself, or even at nighttime, where I try to pray to them about uh, myself, on my challenges, my struggles, and my vision for a world to be a better place. Where in these prayers to them, I try to pray in the most honest, humane way about me. I try to tell them, like, to be honest, I know I struggle with my disability, autism, including learning disability, along with cognitive disability. I deal with being bullied, being spit at, being put down, people using anti-disability stigma, people making jokes about me, how he'd be funny if I died. I deal with the hardships of trying to navigate a workplace where I get bullied a lot. I struggle with social skills. I have trouble holding friendships. I have difficulty on multitasking, fast-paced environment. I sometimes make mistakes, but I'm trying to be a human being with good principles. I'm trying to be compassionate, understanding, using critical thinking skills. I'm trying to expand on learning um, different things, while expanding on knowledge through taking modules about diversity, equity, inclusion, or how to reduce harassment, whether it's me listening to audiobooks or watching documentaries, or current events, or talk shows with closed captions to help educate me better. Um, and I'm trying to help the poor, the disadvantaged, disabled, and people who are with debt with getting food, including essential items, through volunteering. Um, and I am struggling all the time, and I'm not sure who I am as a person. And I deal with depression a lot. I deal with people making me feel bad, and I feel guilty that I'm disabled, and I feel like I just don't have anything I can do. I don't feel like I'm good enough for the world, but I'm trying my best. I hope that you and Jesus can understand me as a human being with a disability, but trying to do good things in life. Also, in my prayers to God, including Jesus, I not only pray for myself, I try to pray for people who I care about, people I know, or especially people who struggle with different things. I try to be more open-minded and praying for a good vision for the world. Like I try to pray for um, better human rights, to the rights of the disabled, to reduce discrimination or hate. I try to pray for having a better healthcare system to help the poor, the disadvantaged, disabled, people sort of pre-existing conditions or who can't afford health insurance get the care they need. I even pray for a better environmental protection to reduce pollution. I even pray that we expand on social justice policies to help many people who are disadvantaged or who are minorities or people live in disadvantaged communities get help. I even pray for an adequate criminal justice reform to protect individual civil liberties from being violated while at the same time reducing crime, having wrongful conviction units to reduce sending innocent people to jail for a crime they didn't commit, while at the same time have laws to hold law enforcement officers, including prosecutors, accountable when they do misconduct or engage in corruption. I even pray that we have a comprehensive immigration reform where we can have a border security, but at the same time help many refugees and immigrants, including children and people who are trying to escape from oppressive countries, uh, and to make sure that they don't face any forms of hate or discrimination or bigotry, and especially making sure that American citizens don't get attacked by um, by ICE. And so I always pray for a world to be a better place because at the same time, I'm trying to be a person who not only thinks about myself, but trying to think of others, trying to have a good vision of the world as an independent Christian. From the things that I saw, dealt with injustice, seeing injustice, from learning these different struggles through watching TV documentaries or seeing things in, in public, from my experience of being a volunteer, and from learning about God, including Jesus Christ. And so I try to be the best I can to be an independent Christian with good principles, and continue to be kind, compassionate, understanding, and thinking of others and trying to have a good vision for the world, even though I do struggle with being disabled in a society where I deal with being spit at, being teased at, being put down, and all this hard bigotry, and it really affects me in a bad way. And so, um, and like I said, I think what I've learned from dealing with depression is everybody deals with depression in different ways, sometimes through different life experiences, whether it's being bullied, losing a job, losing someone that was part of your life, or dealing with life challenges or hard decisions that you make, and that you're not alone in dealing with depression. It's okay to say it's not okay. It's okay to take the time to think about yourself, to reflect on yourself, trying to figure out how you feel, work on critical thinking skills, but at the same time trying to be compassionate and kindness and understanding of others or yourself. And so also, I want to say that I've dealt with depression too, as I have lost a lot of good people in my life. Some of my family members had passed away a long time ago. I even lost my best friend a few years ago through the um, pandemic, and it really changed me a lot because they were good people. They never judged me in a bad way. They understood me as a human being with a disability. They were kind and understanding, gave me good advice. But without them in my life, it's been really hard too, and that's another factor of me dealing with depression. And it's hard when you lose people in life, whether they pass away, and that's hard too, because sometimes in general people tell you, hey, you got to move on from this, you got to be a man. Why are you crying about somebody who passed away a long time ago? Why are you a Debbie Downer? I deal with these a lot of times, but inside here, all I can simply just tell myself is it's okay to grieve the people that passed away. It's always good to remember the good things that they've done for you or have helped me in the long run. And it's okay to take the time to pray for people that have lost their life. And so what I try to do a lot of times, I try to be quiet and I try to pray to God, including Jesus, to look after the people that pass away in my life, trying to make sure that they're good in the afterlife, and try to tell them that I'm trying my best to be a human being with good principles, and I'm thankful for them for not judging me in a bad way for being disabled, and that I appreciate their kindness, and so and that so um, and I also want to say that it's really important that anybody who deals with depression is that people, including people that in general, should always be kind, understanding, compassionate towards the people who struggle with depression or mental health. And they should be very, very willing to take the time to listen to them, be understanding of them, not to judge them in a bad way, and 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 also another thing too that I try to do when I deal with depression is I try to go to like a mental support group, sometimes through Zoom, sometimes there's a a website called Meetup where you can type in like mental health, depression, or autism, and they have these links for the groups. So for Zoom, so if you um, want to look for that, I recommend doing that because I do is go to like these support groups through Zoom, and sometimes it's helpful. Sometimes it's good for me to understand what other people are going through, to tell myself that I'm not alone dealing with depression, even though it can be hard for me to communicate my thoughts efficiently to a group because sometimes there's too many people, sometimes I have to keep it short, but I do this as a way to try to remind myself that I'm not alone in dealing with depression, and that it's okay not to be okay, and that in general. So I want to say I'm sorry if I was very disorganized to talk about depression, because depression, there's so many things that are going on. Sometimes I'm not sure how to understand myself as a human being who's disabled, how to understand myself on navigating these different things, and that. So I hope this video is helpful for many of you to understand what it's like for me to deal with depression, to understand the type of person I am as a human being, um, who wants to do good intentions despite myself with a disability, and talking about the importance of how people should treat people who struggle with depression or mental health or being disabled, to treat them kindly, to be compassionate and understanding, and to say that um, people who like to do bullying, teasing, or other forms of harassment, including spitting, it's not okay. It does more damage and more harm to people, especially people with disabilities like me. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me, and I hope that we not only recognize Mental Health Awareness Month, not only in May, but we recognize it all year round in the near future, because we all need to find ways to improve mental health, to address the need to reduce bullying, including harassment, and the need for kindness, compassion, understanding, and critical thinking too. So thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Again, I'm sorry if I was disorganized, but did the best I could, and I hope many of you can understand me as a person with a disability trying to navigate a society that is broken or is filled with bigotry, including hate. So thank you for listening to me.